friends, with you it's Andrea Purvu, and today I welcome you guys back to a new episode. For today's episode we are going to talk about tactics, but I'm not going to use the same approach as I used to. I'm not going to discuss about the tactics of a team during a game, but more today this is going to be like an informative video for you guys, talking about these kind of strange roles or weird roles that you probably didn't hear of in football, because there are way more positions than wingers and I don't know, center backs and like this super standard stuff and their deviations. There are so many creative roles that coaches came up with as solutions for different formations throughout the history of the sport. So today we are going to analyze these not so common positions. We have 6 of them, so let's get started. Okay, so the first position that we are going to talk about is the Regista. So the Regista was originated in Italy. Regista means in Italian director. I'm going to try to explain as simple as I possibly can. So basically this role is a number 10 who was dragged back to play as a number 6, as a pivot. So basically the Regista becomes a defensive playmaker. He stays deep, he passes, and this way he coordinates the game, and actually not necessarily the game, but mostly the attacking phase. He by his passes, he's the one that's deciding how the attack is going to go and all the stuff. And as I said, it originated in Italy. It was created by Vittorio Pozzo, who was Italy's national team coach, and this role was created in 1930. But it became popular when Andrea Pirlo started playing this position at Ancelotti's Milan. Second position that we are going to discuss about is the Volante. The Volante is basically an 8, but it's an 8 that pretty much like can go anywhere, and he basically acts like a steering wheel, guiding the game in each direction he wants. And basically that's what Volante means. Volante translated to English means steering wheel, and it was created also in the 1930s in Argentina this time, and it was created by the player Carlos Volante. And maybe you'll be wondering, but why is this role so special? Like, why isn't it simply a number 8? The thing is that Volante used to play in this position, in the number 8 position, in a very unique way that the people that were watching him couldn't describe him as a pure 8. They didn't actually think that it aligned fully with that position. So then when they were seeing players that were playing kind of like similar to him, they would call them Volante also. So that's how the position got popularized and how it got spread in the world, and now we call it Volante. The Volante, and the Volante means steering wheel, and that's basically what this player is doing. He's a number 8 acting like a steering wheel. Third position is the Carrilero. They came up with this position back when the formations were extremely narrow, when they were using narrow positions, and there were many gaps that were left by fullbacks and wide backs. And basically the Carrilero is a box-to-box midfielder, but instead of going from a box to another, is going from side to side, and is basically filling up and filling in the gaps left by, as I said, by the fullbacks and by the wide backs in this kind of narrow formation. And this also was created in Argentina in 1986 by Carlos Bilardo, who was Argentina's national team coach. Number 4, we have the Mezzala. The Mezzala literally translated means half winger, and that's what basically it this player is, he plays between the midfielder and the winger, and it goes side to side, but it can also go forward. And it was created in the 1930s with the WM formation, but it was popularized by Italian coaches such as Ancelotti or Conte. Number 5, we have the Trequartista, who I like to call the attacker with free will. He plays in this kind of like triangular range. Like, he can be a striker, like he can play as a striker, he can play as a winger, he can play as an attacking midfielder, and he operates in this kind of like triangle. And it was basically created to help the often left alone nines in the kind of formations that were relying heavily on midfielders, where the midfield was very crowded in a way. And yeah, as I said, he operates in a triangle range, in a triangle shape, and it helps the number 9. It was created in the 1960s in Italy, and I have here some legendary examples such as Gianni Rivera for AC Milan, Roberto Baggio for Fiorentina. And Roberto Baggio is actually very interesting because like his whole life he played in this position as a trequartista, but with each team kind of like his role changed. Like, he became he was supposed to play a trequartista that was having different inclinations, different deviations, and at Fiorentina that was where he played like the pure trequartista. And last example, Francesco Totti for AC Roma. And now also the last weird position in football that I have for this video is the this one is kind of hard to pronounce. Raumdeuter. I hope I pronounced that correct. Please, my German audience, if I have anyone from Germany that's watching me right now, please tell me if I pronounced that correctly. So basically, Raumdeuter means in German space investigator. And I think we all know the player who played this position is Thomas Müller. I think he's the only important, significant player that played this position, and is the one that created this position back in 2010. And I think we all know that very famous interview of his when the journalist was asking him like what is his position, because his position was so strange that nobody really understood what was the position that he plays in. So he said that he's like an investigator, like a space investigator, something like that, and that's how this position got the name, because also the interview was in German and he said it in German, so I think he actually used that word of Raumdeuter. Yeah, basically this is a player that is not good at dribbling, is not good necessarily at passes, at all that stuff. He is very smart, he knows how to position himself, he can see exactly the spaces and the gaps where he can go through and where he can receive the ball and then be able to score. And yeah, he basically uses his very developed vision and his very developed game intelligence, and yeah, he uses that to position himself in the space, in the gap where he realizes that the ball is going to come, or where he can receive the balls in order for him to be able to shoot and to score. And that's how Thomas Müller scored dozens of goals each season, even though, as I said, he was not good at dribbling, he wasn't that fast, he wasn't necessarily good at passes, but he was smart and he was a good shooter. And something that I wanted to mention is that unlike a classic number 9, he actually faces the goal. A number 9 doesn't face the goal, but he actually always faces the goal. So yeah, that was kind of all for today's episode. I think it was quite a short episode. I have no idea, I'm going to see once I edit this video. But yeah, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it to your friends if you think that any of this information might be useful to them, comment down below any suggestion for me to improve and stuff like that, and subscribe to keep in tune with all of my uploads. Okay you guys, bye!